am I so low down? It's a bit strange. It's like I need a booster seat sometimes. Hello everyone, I'm Kate Arnell, this is EcoBoost, and if you haven't already subscribed, then I'd love you to think about it. I'll put the little button just down there for you to have a little think about it for a moment. But no pressure, you can watch this video and a few more before you decide to commit. So September is nearly upon us, and that means quite a few things. First of all, it's Organic September. I'm going to do a few videos throughout Organic September to tie in with the different themes like organic beauty, organic clothing, organic food, etc. So keep an eye out for those, I'm really excited. But also, Zero Waste Week is happening in September. It starts on the 5th and it runs for a whole week. This year's theme for Zero Waste Week is Use It Up. That's right, use it all up. Squeeze out every last drop or morsel. It can be applied across the board, but generally it's referring to food waste. Because guys, apparently in the UK, we waste £50, that's £50 sterling, not £50 in weight. We waste £50 worth of food a month. That's 50 quid into the landfill, which is crazy. And often we're just not taught how to use it in the best way possible or to get the most out of it. So as part of Zero Waste Week, I thought I'd share with you guys some of the things that I have done which have dramatically reduced our food waste. Let's go. Get in your bin. What you got in there? Looking in my bin was a real eye-opener and really made me take stock of what I'm throwing out on a regular basis and what I might be buying too much of. So I'm not saying you have to make a spreadsheet, but if you want to, I'm sure that would be a real eye-opener. All I did was look in my bin and notice what I was throwing away and note that for when I next went shopping so that I could think, actually, I don't need that because it's gonna end up in the trash. Planning ahead. This was a pretty big shift for me. I was very much the sort of person that would leave things to the last minute, not really think about what I might be eating that evening, and not even think about what I might need to eat later on in the week. Fast forward to today, it's like I'm a new person. It's now part of my weekly routine to make a little list of the items that I think I need to get on my grocery shop. It doesn't take very long, it just requires me looking in my fridge and in my cupboards and thinking about what meals we might be eating later in the week. I don't necessarily plan the whole week, but I will think ahead for the next few days. By doing that, it means that I'm not sort of spontaneously grabbing things when I'm out grocery shopping, panicking that I don't have them at home when I actually do. It's just tucked at the back of the cupboard somewhere. And it definitely stops me buying too much or buying doubles of things that I've already got at home. I personally do a grocery shop more than once a week. Normally twice a week, sometimes 3 times, but normally around twice a week I go grocery shopping. This allows me to keep things like fruits and vegetables fresher for longer because I'm buying them only for the next few days ahead, not for the entire week. But it's something that has definitely helped reduce the amount of food waste in our house. I'm not sort of buying things on a Monday, hoping they're going to last all the way until Sunday, because some tomatoes just won't make it through, guys. They won't. Also, I've pretty much stopped peeling vegetables. Instead, I just give them a good old scrub with my vegetable brush. Oh yeah. So when I first started shopping without packaging, I actually went into a supermarket with a reusable container, and the guys behind I think it was the butcher's counter or the deli counter, said that for health and safety reasons, they couldn't do it and that they had to put it into a plastic bag. And suddenly at that moment I realised that a supermarket wasn't the right place for me to do shopping without packaging and buying just enough of what I needed. I mean, I can't even buy like one pepper on its own. I have to buy a packet of 3. That's not cool. That's automatically creating waste because you don't need those 2 other peppers. So now I shop at places like local farm shops, greengrocers, farmers markets. So I think by shopping at small local independent shops where I can buy just the right amount of what I really need, I can buy that 1 pepper. I don't need the packet of 3. Then I'm automatically not going to produce any extra food waste. At my local farm shop, they have all of the vegetables and the fruits without packaging, so I can buy 1 head of broccoli, or 2 if I like. At their butcher's counter, I can buy the right amount of meat, so I don't have to buy a packet of 500 grams. I could buy 350 grams instead if I want. And I think generally by avoiding supermarkets, I'm not exposed to as many buy one, get one free offers, or bog offs as they're called. Everything is so packaged in a way that it's designed to get your attention and make you want to buy the product, and you definitely get drawn into buying stuff that you don't really need. I know avoiding supermarkets isn't an option for everyone, but I definitely think it's worth checking out your local shops, and I actually genuinely look forward to doing my grocery shopping in the week now, because I've met some really cool people at the farm shop, at the farmer's market, at the local organic store. All of those people are genuinely lovely. I felt like at the supermarket I was a bit of a zombie, sort of wandering the aisles and being tempted by things that I didn't really need. All the while in the background you've got the boop, boop, boop. Janet to all two, please, Janet to all two. Boop, boop, boop. Learning to cook is the most empowering skill you can have, and allows me to sort of make the most scrumptious meals out of seemingly nothing, because I know what to do with certain ingredients. Not only did it stop me buying over-packaged, over-processed, food-like items which are often filled with questionable ingredients, it also allows me to use up bits of ingredients or bits of food that we might otherwise not eat. So I could use a broccoli stalk in another dish if we've got that left over. So just learning some basics like sauteing onions and understanding that ginger, chili and garlic is a lovely combination. That is pretty easy to get your head around once you start cooking. Before I would have thought, oh gosh, there's nothing to eat, and now I can go, okay, those three items go together. I definitely think I've reprioritized where I'm at with cooking as well. So before it used to be a real bottom of the list kind of thing, don't really need to think about it until I'm absolutely starving and then panic that I don't have any food in, or I don't know how to cook something, or that I should have marinated something overnight. Oh, I'm hungry now. So now I definitely make sure I've got time to cook most of the time. There are some amazing resources out there. So when I first sort of got into cooking from scratch, I used this, which is Jamie Oliver's Ministry of Food, and it says anyone can learn to cook in 24 hours. And this was a fantastic resource for me. It really breaks down exactly what you need to do to make a roast chicken or to cook a pasta sauce. Everything that you kind of need to know, all the basics, is in this. Learning to cook as well has also sort of reconnected me with food and makes me want to know where it's come from, what the provenance is, how it was grown. I think it definitely makes me have a deeper understanding and a much deeper appreciation of where the ingredients have come from, and I definitely feel like I'm much more of a conscious consumer just because I learned to cook. So I went through a very short phase at the beginning of this year, just feeling like I didn't want to cook. And in the end, I realised it's because I had terrible utensils. I had a really sort of blunt second-hand knife, which had just completely fulfilled its purpose. And it was a real chore to chop and prepare vegetables. So that sort of felt like a real effort to begin with, which kind of put me off cooking because I was feeling like the prep was such a chore with this knife. So I decided to treat myself to some new knives so that it would make the whole process way more enjoyable. So I found this brand called Arnell. They've got a really lovely ethical story behind them, and I love that they've got wooden handles and they're just a dream to prep food with. I really enjoy chopping with these knives basically. That's a little pairing knife by them as well. And also things like my blender means that I can make soups really easily. I can do a lot in my blender and I really enjoy using that as well. So I do genuinely believe that whilst we don't need too much stuff in life, having tools and items that are going to spark joy and make the whole process a lot more enjoyable, especially with like a long-term plan of learning to cook for life, I think having the tools that are going to encourage me to do that are totally worth investing in. Shopping from bulk is a great way of avoiding food waste. I know it's kind of tricky in the UK. We don't seem to have a huge amount of bulk options in shops. It's like something that might just be catching on, but it's tricky, I get that. But if there is somewhere nearby and I can shop from bulk, then I will. And it means that I can buy just the right amount of what I need. I can buy it without packaging, which is something that's really important to me. But if you're thinking about it just from a food waste point of view, you're not buying more than you need. You're just buying the right amount. And things like dry goods, you can absolutely stock up on, like pasta and popcorn and rice, etc. But at the same time, if I only need something like a few spoons of dried herbs, I don't need to buy an entire packet. Or if I want to try something new and I'm not sure if I'm going to like it, I can buy a small amount, take it home, try it out, and if it's cool, then buy more of it. But that basically means I haven't wasted an entire packet of something. So I think recipes are great for inspiration. I totally love reading like cookbooks and recipe books. but I basically don't fret if I don't have one of the ingredients, and I now feel I can totally like swap it out with whatever, and I don't have to go out and specifically buy that item, which I might only be able to get in a packet of 5 at the supermarket, and therefore waste the rest of it. You can swap out different ingredients. At the end of the day, it kind of doesn't matter as long as it's sort of semi-similar. So if I don't have any onions, I'll try using a leek, or if you don't have broccoli, you can use any other sort of leafy green. So now I kind of just make it up as I go along. So get creative. Ignore sell-by dates. I think sell-by dates are really bad when it comes to food waste. I haven't looked at a sell-by date in quite some time, actually, because I buy a lot of stuff without packaging. Usually it doesn't come with a sell-by date, or if it comes with a sticker, I probably don't read it, to be honest. I tend to rely a lot more on my sense of smell and feel, and I think again that has reconnected me with food and the seasons and understanding how long things will last for. And actually sell-by dates, I think, do create a lot of food waste because they kind of create a little bit of fear and panic of, oh my gosh, it's a day past the sell-by date, I might die if I eat it. And if there is a little bit of mold on something, that's okay, I'll just like slice that bit off. I don't have to eat that moldy section, but the rest of it, like the rest of that tomato, might be fine and perfectly edible. I think using the freezer wisely is a really great tip, but I do at the same time think it's really easy just to buy lots of things that are frozen, store them in the freezer, forget about them, and then panic that they've passed their sell-by date and you can't eat them. So I think using the freezer wisely and using it just to extend the life of things that you're already using. So let's say I made too much pizza dough, I could store the rest of that in the freezer and know that I'm going to use it later in the week. We actually have a tiny freezer, so it does really limit the amount of stuff that we can store. And I personally mostly use our freezer to store the ends of vegetables because I use those to make stock later in the week. But because we've got quite limited space in there, I have to use it up kind of quickly. Soups are a great way of using up any sort of odds and ends of like vegetables or a bit of leftover stock or whatever. It's really great, they're really nutritious, and they're so easy to make. Just sort of whack them in the blender or bubble them away in the pan for a little bit with some water and you've got yourself a soup. Any sort of odds and ends can easily go into pies, into fruit crumbles. I personally use a few random ingredients for pizza toppings. I like making homemade pizzas and maybe just sprinkling that last bit of cheese on top or adding that last end of sausage on there. And smoothies are also a great way of using stuff up. Composting! Now I know this isn't an option for everyone and it's something that I was quite late to in the game. Getting a compost bin, or in our case a worm bin, has definitely helped to reduce the amount of food waste. And I've actually found it a really enjoyable thing to do. And the bin itself takes up hardly any space, and I keep reading that people do actually have them indoors as well, so we might have to bring ours indoors during the winter because it might get a little too cold for the guys out there. They won't take all of our food waste, so things like dairy and meat and citrus fruits, etc. can't go in the worm bin, but they've certainly helped to reduce the amount of food waste in our house. Several boroughs do actually offer a sort of council composting service, and you get given a compost bin or caddy by the council. So if you're lucky enough to have one of those, then I would absolutely recommend using them because that will totally reduce the amount of food waste that you do have. And you know that it's sort of closing the loop, it's not just going to go and rot in landfill. Google it. If you're not sure how to use up a mystery ingredient, Google is your friend. It will take you on a journey of discovery and you might learn something new along the way. So if you're someone who likes to make your own juices at home and you're not sure what to do with the leftover pulp, then there are loads of ideas out there. For example, you could put them into something that you're baking. One of my favourite blogs to go to is Zero Waste Chef. She's got an entire recipe index, but also tips and tricks on how to use up those questionable or leftover ingredients.
For example, I like to save stale bread and pop it in the blender and whiz it up into breadcrumbs, and I'll use that in other recipes. And I turn leftover coffee grounds into an invigorating body scrub. I recently started growing my own, so these are my little tiny tomatoes, they're so cute. That's a chili plant. And I started growing my own herbs, which means I can just pick them fresh instead of buying a packet and letting half of it go manky.
So there you go, those are just some of the things that I've personally done that have definitely helped to reduce the amount of food waste that we have in our house. We still have like a few scraps and odds and ends and stuff. I genuinely feel like we get the most out of stuff. So if we buy a chicken, I will use up all the leftover meat and then boil the chicken bones to make chicken stock, and then use that stock to make other dishes throughout the week, like soup, or use it in stir fries. You get the idea. If you've got any advice or anything that you feel's worked really well for you, please put it in the comments. I do find it genuinely interesting. And if you want to get involved with Zero Waste Week, then all you have to do is head over to zerowasteweek.co.uk. You can sign up there, and there's lots of information on there too. For example, apparently you can use eggshells to create your own calcium supplement. All you have to do is give them a good clean, dry them in the oven for a certain amount of time, and then put them in the blender or crush them up in a pestle and mortar. And that powder is like a calcium supplement. So you could put that into your smoothies or on top of your porridge or whatever. How awesome is that? So definitely go and check it out, have a little browse, and if you feel like you want to get involved and maybe encourage your friends, family, work colleagues to get involved as well, then spread the word, or just send them an email with a link in. And if you liked this video, remember to hit the thumbs up. If you've made it this far and you thought, hey, that wasn't too bad, I'd like to watch more, then hit subscribe. I'd love it if you stuck around. And if you want to watch another video, then I'd highly recommend this one right here. But there are others available. See ya! Ooh, my microphone is broken, so I'm trying to hold my phone up like a handheld microphone device. It's fun. Vlogging is fun.